Good evening, everyone, and welcome to is ChatGPT Cheating. I am Tamia Lewis Saint. I am a civility ambassador from New Jersey. I am currently a sophomore at Morgan State University. My major is service and supply chain management. I am the class of 2026. And today, with Blessed Girls, we will be talking about our AI summit, a little conclusion and a follow up of our AI summit that we had in Philadelphia. And we'll be talking about AI, ChatGPT. Is it cheating? Is it not? Should we use it? What is it doing in our world? So we're excited to continue this conversation tonight, get different perspectives, different panelists. So I'm excited for everyone. I'm so ready to get into this conversation because as a college student, ChatGPT is definitely relevant. Some consider it cheating, some don't, but professors definitely do. So let's discuss, let's debate, let's dive into this topic and just get right into it. So make sure you are active in the chat, having some questions, some comments. Feel free to engage and let's get started. So, first, I would like to introduce our first speaker, Dr. Georgina Chammy. And she is a lecturer at the Institute of International Relations and University of the West Indies and a recipient of the Central America / Caribbean Fulbright Visiting Scholars Program in 2010. Her research interests include peace and security, diplomacy, migration, artificial intelligence, and higher education. She was one of the four co-editors of the book, Changing Intelligence, and Changing Cuba-U.S. Relations Implications for CARICOM States, published by Palgrave Macmillan in 2019. Her recently co-edited publication is Managing New Security Threats in the Caribbean, published by Palgrave Macmillan in 2022. Presently, she is working with colleagues, Dr. Nananda Roy and Dr. Christopher Brown from Georgia Southern University, on accepted lexicon publication, Responding to the Venezuelan Migrant Crisis, Insights for the Caribbean. She has also done presentations and written on AI intelligence and this impact of student learning. So let's dive in.
So, good evening, Miss Lucent. Hope I got your name correctly.
Listen,
And
good evening.
Lucent and Professor Anna, and of course, other participants who have joined us today on this platform. I'm simply delighted to be part of this conversation. I am extremely passionate about information technology, and I see that you've zeroed into one very, very informative tool, ChatGPT. Um, when we talk about artificial intelligence, what we've seen is the fact that it has emerged as a very powerful tool, and it's definitely transforming the learning experience. There is a lot of potential with this particular tool, and we've seen how it has automated tasks, how it provides personalized learning experiences, how you can analyze vast amounts of data, and very substantially how it's changing the student learning experience. And I think that's the most rewarding part of chatting with you this evening concerning ChatGPT. Uh, I am probably one of the very few professors who have begun integrating ChatGPT into my academic portfolio. Um, I am not abrasive. I am not apprehensive about it. Technology is here to stay. And if we really want to prepare our students for the world of work, then we must engage with technology. And in so doing, look at the ways and means, or to what extent, that we can incorporate ChatGPT within the learning environment. Of course, that in no way, because we know what the dilemma is. The dilemma is the tension that has really sparked between embracing AI innovations such as ChatGPT and how do we continue to preserve the essential, what we call humanistic aspects of educational delivery. And I think that's where the dilemma is. How do we strike that balance between these two areas to ensure that our students can really benefit from these AI tools? And at the same time, how could we continue to maintain the fact that educational learning, is also about having that humanist side to educational platform. So I think, when we looking at ChatGPT, my own experience is that I have used the tool in my teaching. For example, I have now looked at it as a way for me to identify what are some of those areas where students really lack the knowledge. So it becomes a sort of foundational tool for students when I ask them to do essay assignments on thematic issues. So, what I basically do is I have what we call practical sessions where, let's say, for example, I've asked them to explore the impact of climate change. And I might zero in on something like coastal erosion within a specific area, Trinidad and Tobago. That's where I reside. I will have students really engage on the ChatGPT platform to see how the kind of information that can be generated. And then what I do is engage with them so that we can really determine what should be some of the appropriate response for addressing a particular subject. And in this case, I've chosen climate change. So what I've found is that by engaging with students on ChatGPT, we've seen that they have grown really more open and more frank, with feeling a sense of comfort and not um, being looked at as someone who is a plagiarist or who is violating the what we call the educational ethics platform. And I think that's what we need to inculcate in students. How can we use the tool very importantly with our students, thereby ensuring that they appreciate the extent to which that we can use this particular tool to generate information, but also maintain the ethical practices. So, as I've just pointed out to you, we have climate change as a subject area, and I will probably ask them to, as I've mentioned before, look at its impact. Maybe soil erosion, I will zero in, ask them to zero in on some areas of that. And very importantly, what we do is we analyze the data that flows from this ChatGPT. Now, the interesting thing about using ChatGPT, it does not point you in the direction of references and citations. And if you're going to be enhance your analytical and your critical skills, then it's very, very important that you understand the importance of quoting people's work, how to include people's work within your assignments, and to do so appropriately. And while ChatGPT generates a lot of data, it does not point you in the direction of one, who are the scholars who would have um, advised you and advanced such opinions, and two, in terms of how to do proper citations. So this is where now the other side comes in, and that's the more teacher side, the human element, where you now journey and you work with your students in terms of letting them understand the importance now of looking, reading, and looking for appropriate scholarly resources that could substantiate the information generated by ChatGPT. So when we talk about using ChatGPT in students' learning and how can we advance education on the whole or the educational landscape, there are a number of different areas that we could touch on. So I talked about information generation. I've, I would like to even delve into the other area of assessment, for example. You know, while we use ChatGPT for generating information, there's also another aspect, assessments. And your assessment tools can also be used in collaboration with ChatGPT. You have a rubric which you will share with your students. The rubric basically is the marking scheme for your different assignments for your course. And what you do is you look at the information that's generated and you cross reference it with your assessment rubric. So you can have different um, areas that you have identified for your rubric: presentation, coherence, analysis, um, referencing, engagement with the literature. And what you do is you cross reference it now with the information for ChatGPT. So, how does the information generated for an assignment? Sometimes you could even enter the actual assignment within ChatGPT and see what it generates. And then now we cross reference it with the rubric to see how information ought to be coined for you to generate still a good academic or scholarly article or research assignment or research paper. So you don't really want to be too defensive in this day and age because technology is really taking over not only academia but in terms of the professional aspirations that some of you all may have. You may not want to continue in academia, you may want to transition into the working world. And we need to equip our students with the necessary research skills, analytical skills, and being able to use technology appropriately. So it's there is that multitasking and multidimensional areas that we try as educators to now cover, given the fact that we have information technologies and advancements and innovations at our disposal. So we've got to think about how can we continue to work with information communications innovations and at the same time develop the critical and analytical skills of our students, how we continue to get them to be creative, problem solving. So that's where your human touch comes into the education. Yeah. And that doesn't mean that, as I've said, that we need to in any way discredit the myriad of tools available under artificial intelligence. Of course, I could sideline a bit and point you into other areas aside of ChatGPT and still speaking about tools within the AI umbrella, such as Grammarly, for example. And Grammarly is a fantastic tool. It helps you to construct sentence appropriately, identify typos, grammatical usage, even look at referencing, how references are done. So, you may want to look at how you can integrate different tools under the AI banner into your own activities, not only as educators but as students. You're part of different bodies, maybe clubs, etc. How can you incorporate some of these tools so that you can um, you know share knowledge, advance, skills for people, hone their skills, make them more prepared for the world of work, which is, of course, more technologically driven. So I'm going to pause here, and I don't know if the moderator would like to come in. I've been like online for a bit and ask me any questions.
Thank you, Dr. Georgina Chammy. I really loved how you talked about how you engage with your students. I find as a professor that's really important. We talk a lot about with students as being a communicator, as being a student. It's important that you communicate with your professor, and by you giving them the opportunity to engage and really learn more about the AI and work with it. And like you said before, technology is staying; it's not changing, so it's best that we work with it, which I completely agree. It's better to figure out what this is and not to be afraid of it and just get rid of it, but know how to work around it and figure out the correct ways of how to use it. And another great point we brought up was how AI and ChatGPT, it doesn't bring us to any references or citations when we use it. When we look up things, it just provides us simply with the answer. And I think it's very important that we also do have our citations and our references. And I know you talked about a little bit about the rubric being shared with students. I wanted to ask if you could elaborate a little bit on that.
Sure. So I'll just speak to my particular course. So I lecture in the area of diplomacy and security, for example. So my courses are 100% coursework. I lecture at the graduate level, and I'll just pull out one assignment, for example. So I may ask students to do an essay assignment, and one of the areas is, of course, artificial intelligence and higher education. And what I have asked students to look at is basically the impact of, they can select a particular tool, most of them do ChatGPT for me, and look at its correlation to higher education. So my rubric, my assessment rubric, for example, it covers basically four areas. So first, your introduction, how you introduce this particular subject assignment to me. And what I do before they actually have to submit this assignment. This is early in my course. I would have a very similar activity done as a tutorial or practical session. We call, well, tutorials are just like practical sessions. So I have my students, I, I just have now a hypothetical situation, and there is a rubric, and I basically give them an example and ask them to work in groups, think about the question, and then they give me their responses, and we look at it in relation to the assessment rubric. So it's very similar, where we look at the introduction and the conclusion, how they start and how they propose to conclude. Then we look at content, which is what you provide. And why have you sought to look at particular arguments? So that's the body or the content, the body slash content of the essay. And in that, what I have done is, thankfully, you can do outlines through ChatGPT, and it allows you to have pointers which you develop into paragraphs. And I cross reference that with what is my expectation for content. Yeah. What is a proper argumentative paragraph? So sometimes students, what I've observed is using the pointers from GPT to actually create now paragraphs of content. We eradicate what we call two and three points being discussed in a paragraph. Yeah. So what you have in essence is students having a better understanding now that you deal with one particular argument in a paragraph, and how you actually present your argumentation. It has to be done in a justifiable way. We can't have what we call open-ended statements, for example. And that's where your ChatGPT comes in, because sometimes the information generated through ChatGPT tend to be very open-ended statements. And I'm sure you agree with me, Madam Moderator. So that's how I use these practical sessions to bring home the point of my rubrics and what is the expected or intended responses I should see in your assignment. So I hope that that has answered your question.
Yes, it did. Thank you so much. It was a lot of help. Thank you. So next we'll be moving on into our next speakers, getting to our blessed girls to give a little bit more of information and getting more into our ChatGPT talk. So next we will have Miss, I'm sorry if I pronounced your name wrong, Kanaji and Miss Caitlin. So the floor is on y'all. Let's talk about ChatGPT. What do you guys have?
Um, I'll go first.
And also
With
introduce yourselves as well.
uh, Hello everybody. My name is Caitlin Black. I am currently a freshman at Delaware State University, and my major is kinesiology. And as a college student right now, I feel like ChatGPT definitely like plays a part in college right now. Like for example, like I have a friend like I took a class with one of my teammates last semester. I took biology with her, and basically she used ChatGPT for like everything. Like when I tell you everything, every single thing, even like things outside of the classroom, like for text messages and stuff like that. So I feel like ChatGPT has been getting a bad reputation, but I feel like it can also be used for like good. Like for example, like if you have like a problem with like a math question, you can ask GPT like, "Hey, can you solve this for me?" And then now you know how to solve that type of question. But I still feel like this generation uses it too much. And if we keep using it too much and we rely on it too much, I feel like we're not gonna be ready for like the real world, if that makes sense.
Yes, thank you. And I can relate to the math questions because I was never great at math. So when I did have to take math, I would put math problems into ChatGPT. And sometimes when there's exponents, you have to learn how to work around it and put a caret
Hmm.
instead of putting like the just putting the two next to it. So I had to put like the caret then the two. But with ChatGPT, it actually does solve the problems for you, and it tells you the steps as well, which can be a little more helpful than some professors. Thank you, Caitlin.
You're welcome.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kanaji Nesmith. I live in West Haven as of right now, and I am currently a junior attending Laurelton Hall in Milford, Connecticut. As of right now, I think ChatGPT can be very beneficial to this generation of students, like in high school or college, when you like use it for the when you have the right intentions and like you're using it to like maybe check your work or like see where you're going wrong in certain things. Like if you have questions and at the time you may not have a teacher there with you at that moment, like you could ask ChatGPT, but when you're using it like to do work for yourself, then that's when it can become wrong and not like good.
Thank you. And I wanted to bring up did oh hi, Miss Nanette. I don't know if you can hear me. I'm not sure if she can hear me, but I just wanted to bring up a current issue with ChatGPT or a new evolving content that's coming out with ChatGPT is its memory. I wanted to know if any of you have heard about the ChatGPT memory, and when you actually put things in ChatGPT, there's an option where you can select to remember the memory. So when you come back, you can always come back to it. Let's say you exit out all your tabs, but because when you log into ChatGPT, it's actually like your Google login, so your information is still stored, but there's options where you can set that memory. So when you're asking different questions, you can be talking about a whole math problem and then go back to an English problem, and it will have memory and it will remember your problem. So I wanted to know what everyone's thoughts were about that.
I actually never knew that that was a thing, so it's nice to hear that. I would probably try and use it. I don't know, see how it works, or you know.
Yep, I'm looking in the chat and it says we I like the memory feature, recalls all the topics. And I've seen that a lot of studies have said that it helps with more accurate information and data. So when they're putting in what they need to and they have memory, it can use what it had before prior and keep giving more elaborate conversations. But anyone else like to talk about the memory of ChatGPT? Or if they have any other things they would add into the chat, anything about ChatGPT or this artificial intelligence, anything you would like to add, feel free. It's an open chat.
Actually, I think That memory feature, I feel like I would definitely like explore that. Like I think that's a good idea to have that. Because sometimes like one of my classes I'm taking right now, like that actually would be a great feature because the class I'm taking right now, which is like biology 2, I definitely need that. I need that.
Miss Nansat, can you hear us?
Not really. Not really. The network in Nigeria is really horrible, so I'm sorry for the inconveniences.
No problem. If you can still hear me, we can hear you. If you wanted to add anything, you're very clear on our end.
Okay, no problem. Um, I just wanted to say, since the topic is about if ChatGPT is cheating, to me, I feel it's not. I feel it's like in the middle. It's neither, it's not cheating, but it can aid cheating. That's what I feel. I I think it's like dependent on who is actually using it. That's the user's intention, not the ChatGPT itself. So if the intention of the user is based on cheating, that's when it can be cheating. So ChatGPT itself is not cheating, but it can aid cheating. That's what I feel. So
Thank you. Yes, we have a
that's
great comment.
everything.
The,
We just
I think we're losing a bit of
can you
connection
hear
there, but
me? It
I think
just
we're losing a bit of.
works with the data.
There we go. Nice. Thank you so much. You brought up some great points. And going off of what this comment says and what you have said, it's definitely based off intention. It's not cheating if your intention is set forward and you know what you want to use it for and how you're using it. You're not using it word for word, but you're being distinctive and you're being intentional about how you want to use ChatGPT. And to talk a little about the history of ChatGPT, I don't know, does anyone know who actually developed ChatGPT? Does anybody know where it actually developed from?
No, I don't.
No, me neither.
So when I was doing my research, I didn't know either, but I actually found out it was developed by OpenAI. So that's the main platform that ChatGPT is actually developed by, which is pretty simple. That I would never thought about. It's like, okay. So they just have this, and it's defined as having a new powerful new artificial intelligence chatbot. So AI. And then Caitlin, we have a question for you in the chat. It says, how and why did your friend use it for text?
So basically, she was having a disagreement with one of our other teammates, and she didn't know like what to say and stuff. So like she would like put in like things to say about the topic that they were disagreeing about, because like they were having problems with each other. So like she didn't know what exactly to say. So she was just saying like, "Hey, like, I need something to put for like a conversation with my friend or like something like along the lines of that." So like to me it was like kind of crazy because like you should be like using your own thoughts. Like you having disagreement with somebody, like you could like do your research or whatever, but like having somebody to write your own, like write your text for you and write your thoughts for you is like kind of like crazy to me. Like not having your own brain, like you're letting like a computer dictate your thoughts.
Yeah,
Yes, that was powerful. I think that's where a lot of the confusion and the mispersonality comes from. We let ChatGPT take over too much, entirely too much, as to where you don't even know who's typing anymore. Students are getting
Right.
lazy. They're putting in ChatGPT in their essays. We don't know who the students really are because when our professors are grading our works, that's all they see. So I think that's really important that we can use ChatGPT when it comes to texting, but you still have to let your personality show and let you show because
Right.
we're not the robots, they are. But we want to use the robots to our ability, but not so much where they take over our whole. And Dr. Kimmy, we have a question for you, and it says, "Have students have you had students that have inappropriately used ChatGPT?"
I think um, huh, inappropriately use ChatGPT. I think that's an interesting question. Thank you. Of course, we will have students who what we call cross the ethical lines from time to time. But we've got to be very cautious in terms of determining if a student has inappropriately used ChatGPT. And why would I say this? Because there is really no device that I am aware of that could determine categorically if a student has used ChatGPT. So the issue is rather one where you read a piece, you read an assignment, and you have to make an assessment of the assignments. And sometimes it's very easy as an educator to recognize when it lacks proper argumentation. And I think that's how I will answer that question. That's when you can determine perhaps that a student may have used some source to generate a response for an assignment. So, yes, the simple answer is yes, but unfortunately, I don't have any tools that I could categorically use to, and I wouldn't want to, honestly. I wouldn't want to because I think we have to understand we have a lot of students online, and I think we have to understand that the intensity now of programs makes it very, very easy and attractive for students to look for ways of balancing their work assignments. Yeah. So they may not want to really use these instruments inappropriately, but then they have to meet deadlines. Yeah. And it becomes an attractive way of using a tool to see how best they could generate an assignment and submit it in a very timely fashion. So you have to really work with your students, as I've said before, to make sure that they really understand and appreciate the extent to which ChatGPT can be used for essay writing or essay assignment.
Thank you. And we have a few more questions coming into the chat. Anyone feel free to hop in. We touched a little bit on this, but can anybody elaborate? It says, is ChatGPT considered plagiarism?
Ooh.
I've asked this question before on my course of research, and the person I asked was like, "Now, no, ChatGPT can be considered as plagiarism because ChatGPT tends to generate responses. Like if you give ChatGPT a a question or something to do, it can generate over a million different answers or a million different responses to that same business, and they all will be different. So I feel ChatGPT can be considered as plagiarism. I don't know, to my opinion, that's what I feel. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to answer this question?
I feel
Yeah,
like
I
oh, sorry.
sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, you go ahead. You go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I feel like it can be and it can at the same time. Like if you're asking a question and you like take everything from that and like copy it word for word, like verbatim, then it can be plagiarism. But if you're like taking an idea from that question that you asked and cultivating it to your own and making it your own, then I feel like it isn't kind of because like you're just getting an idea from it and like using it as a tool to help you. So
Yeah, I totally agree with what you're saying. And I think we gotta remember that ChatGPT, it really doesn't plagiarize in the traditional sense of copying and pasting from people's work, but it's a massive data set of texts, and it generates text that can seem very similar to existing content. Yeah. So I think um, it does not intentionally provide you with information
Uh,
that, in terms of copying in that sense. So it is really not designed, ChatGPT, to plagiarize. But as I've said, it generates text that is can be very similar to existing content. And that's why I think, as you rightly said, it should be used to help people spun thoughts, generate ideas for essay writing. And that's why we should be a bit more inclusive of it. Yeah, in the teaching world.
Yes, thank you. And we have a question that says, does the sources give direct quotes when writing papers? And you brought up an interesting point and an important point on how when we use ChatGPT, it comes up with text of that might be related to or similar text, but it doesn't necessarily give you the exact text. So to answer that question, I believe that the answer is no, that it doesn't give direct quotes when writing papers. And we have another interesting question, which says, how can you cross-reference? Anyone feel free to answer that question.
For me, I'm not really sure how you can cross-reference. I mean, I feel like you really can't get like any references from ChatGPT at all. It doesn't really give you like the actual source that it's getting the information from because it's being generated. So like I'm not really sure how you can really cross-reference.
Let's talk about what's true and what's false that we have another comment from. So ChatGPT, yes, it can give us some answers. It can give us some responses. It can give us help to what we're trying to do. But the question I would like to raise is ChatGPT always accurate? And that'll be my last point.
I feel, I think that ChatGPT is not always accurate. It depends on the data, the exact data that you give to it. If you let's use an example. My name is Ansat, and I'm like okay, let's just say, give me an article on Nansat. ChatGPT doesn't know who Nansat is, so it can give you a random data, a random information of the person Nansat, but it won't give you the accurate definition or the accurate description of Nansat. So it's not all the time that ChatGPT is accurate. It depends on the data or the question being given to it. That's what I think.
Yeah, I agree. It's not always accurate. And when I was trying to do research on something for biology, from what the professor told me and what ChatGPT told me was like totally different. So like it's not really always accurate. It's like a like I don't know, like sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. It's like it really like depends.
Yeah, I agree. ChatGPT really is, um, it's a tool. It's trained to provide a range of internet text to generate responses. So, there's that great room for misinformation because it doesn't really have real time information or knowledge beyond its training, right? So you should realize when you do some of those searches or enter certain prompts that there is really no real time information because of what has been um, uploaded through, well, yeah, what basically has been uploaded on this particular platform. So there is great room for misinformation on this platform.
Yes, thank you. There's a lot of room for error. As we see in the comments, you have to know how to ask the right questions. If you ask a broad question, you're going to get a broad answer. So it's very important to be specific. And it's always going to, ChatGPT is going to pull data, pull a whole bunch of information and facts that it thinks you might need. But we always have to make sure we can reference and be accurate with our data. And we're going to get into just our last topic here. We're going to give about like three tokens, three nuggets that you really want to talk about with ChatGPT. Well, that you think is important, a takeaway, or anything that's important as we end this discussion here. Caitlin, do you mind if we start with you? A little takeaway that you would have?
Yes. I feel like three things that I took away is to allowing to work with ChatGPT rather than like just like getting rid of it. I think when she brought that up, like it really like made me think because like me personally, like I was thinking like, oh yeah, we should get rid of it. But like Dr. like excuse me if I pronounce your name wrong, Dr. Chami?
Yes, that's
Yes.
perfect.
Dr. Chami, I feel like when you said that, it really like actually made me think. And we were talking about, it, I was like, yeah, like we shouldn't like just get rid of it altogether. We should like work with it and try to like better it over time. Because like you said, technology is here to stay. Technology is going to keep growing and growing more as years go by. And another thing that I took away is allowing other AI systems to like be used to, because like Grammarly, like I totally forgot we even had Grammarly because of ChatGPT. So like when you said that, I was like, yeah, like I can use that instead of like ChatGPT for like writing essays, especially. And another thing that I took away was just um using trying to not let ChatGPT hinder my critical thinking skills, allowing it to like become something that's like part of my life, like to still develop knowledge outside of ChatGPT and not always going to ChatGPT for knowledge, and like actually like using like Google or like just doing my own research to retain the knowledge instead of like going straight to ChatGPT.
Thank you, Caitlin. Would anyone else have an ending token they would like to end with?
Three things I've taken away from this is like knowing how to go about like asking the question and like what to say, and like having the right intentions and making sure that you're using it as a tool and not just something that you want to get your answers from. And also, like Caitlin said, like not letting it dictate who you are, like, still have your own thoughts and opinions about what you learn and stuff.
Thank you. Yes, thoughts and opinions are very important.
So I could probably share briefly. So um, I think when we first started to engage, I perhaps, and I stand to be corrected, but I did get the impression from colleagues on board with me that there was some skepticism and there was some reservation about ChatGPT, yes? And I am seeing now at the end of our conversation perhaps a change in terms of how you feel towards ChatGPT. And I'm delighted to hear, is it Caitlin? Caitlin, that you
Yes.
understand, yeah, very importantly, that you understand the extent to which ChatGPT and any other AI tools or even technology, to what extent it should really consume your world, because you still want to develop your social skills, right? You still need to engage with people to grow and become that extraordinary woman. You've already started. Most all these ladies here, I could already hear it, and I think that's the second giveaway for me. I'm on a platform with women who really want to make a difference, and by having these conversations and interactions, it's very uplifting and commendable on the blessed girls part. And I'm happy to. And the third thing is, I'm very delighted to have been part of this forum. And if in any way I could contribute to anything that you perhaps need support on, I'm always willing and available. It doesn't have to be only ChatGPT. So just want to say thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Tommy. We appreciate you a lot. That means a lot, especially knowing that we have support from all the way around the country. It means a lot. And Miss Monset, would you like to have anything to add as an ending token?
Okay, nothing really. I just got from Catherine that I always thought ChatGPT could be referenced, but Catherine like exposed that it's actually can be. So I think that's why I got from everything because of my network and everything. So
Thank you. Yes, it's a learning process for everyone. And we do have another question in the chat, which says, if five people ask the same exact thing, will we get the same answer? I'll start with that one. I believe if five people ask the same thing, you won't get the same exact answer. But I do believe that if you keep doing a cycle and more people ask the same question, that they might end up getting that same answer because ChatGPT can only come up with so much. But I do believe the words will change. So if you have like a possibility of five, I believe they won't get the same thing. What do you guys think?
I totally agree with what you said. Like five people are not gonna get the same answer. A lot of times, like ChatGPT, like words everything differently depending on how specific the question is, or just how you like where like words are placed in the question. So I feel like five people are not gonna get the same answer.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like overall it may be the same idea, but it's not going to be worded the same.
so five people is
Sorry, the connection was a little bit bad, but I think you said that you won't get the same. I'm not too sure. The connection was a little bad. Dr. Chami, did you have any insight on what did you think? Will five people get the same answer?
And that's if five people ask the same exact thing, right? Would we? Yes. No, I agree. I agree with what everyone has said.
Thank you, everyone. That will conclude our little fireside chat. So, I think we all learned a lot. We exposed new into, we learned about memory, learned about the history of ChatGPT, how it can help, how it can hurt us, using ChatGPT efficiently and not just letting it take over our personality. Because when you are on Google and it's asking you, are you a robot? And we press no, we answer the questions. No, we're not robots. So I think it's important to use ChatGPT. So to move on to our expert, I think everyone should grab their pens, grab their papers, grab their phones, their notes. It's time to learn. We are in classes in session, so I will now be introducing our next panelist, Miss Melody. And as she's coming up, I'll introduce her. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are ready for what you have to learn. So, Ms. Melody Smith is a results driven human resource and information system solutionist with 20 plus, that's older than me, 20 plus years of global experience removing influences in business, processes, and systems to help organizations streamline their work, save money, and feel more in control. Melly graduated with a Bachelor of Science from Boston University School of Hospitality Management, and a couple months later opted for warmer weather, moving to Atlanta to get an MBA from Clark Atlanta University. HBCU. She has traveled throughout North America, South America, Western Europe, Asia, and Oceania. See, trying to get like her and be worldwide. So I think it's time for me as well to learn and just dive in. So welcome, Ms. Melody Smith.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Wow, you guys had a really, really good chat. It's gonna be hard to follow up on that because um, you guys are really into it, really understand it. So a lot of the things that I'm gonna talk through, I'm gonna actually talk through pretty quickly because I actually had some questions as well, and the questions that came through are great. So keep them coming. So just a little additional background as far as why I love ChatGPT and how I use it in my business. So as in my bio, I like helping people. I got into the industry of hospitality because I wanted to help people and make lives better. And so I found as I was in my career, how can I do this using technology? I am a total geek. I love tech. And so one of the things that when I found out about ChatGPT, I was like, oh, this is a life changer. This is going to help so many people. And I loved how you guys were talking about how you use it and how sometimes it is how it should be used and how it should not be used. So I'm going to quickly go through my slides here. Let's see. All right. Quickly, the agenda is we already talked about what ChatGPT is. I'm just going to add a little bit more. Its capabilities, benefits. We're just going to dive into that a little bit more. Cautionary advice. It's already been discussed. So I think I may have one or two maybe things to add to that you guys have already talked about. Again, I took some notes, so this is great. And then if there's any other questions, Q&A. So we kind of talked about this already, but I really want to know through the chat. So what do you think about when you hear ChatGPT? I know there was some hesitation. I saw some things as far as, is it cheating? Is it, it's helpful? Is it a little bit of, what's the word I want to use? Kind of like, are you almost like an imposter? Like, what are some of the things that you actually hear? Shortcut. Yeah, absolutely. Lazy. I have to say, yeah, I used it this morning. I'm going to say that I did use ChatGPT this morning for a presentation, a 30-second presentation I had to do. Did not feel like thinking about it. That's kind of where it's a little bad. But yes, a little bit of laziness. And we already know that some of you have used ChatGPT before, and you mentioned how you use it in school. And so this is very great. Scary. Yeah, it can be a little scary as well. So this popularity. So there's so many people that are using it. I was actually very surprised by these stats. So ChatGPT has over 180 million users. That's a lot of users, a lot of people. And it's grown from just 100 million, I'm saying just, to 180 million in 8 months. And that's just August of last year. So I don't have current numbers yet. It has received 1.6 billion website visitors in December, and that's just slightly down from 1.8 billion this year. So there's a lot of people on this and using it. And I honestly have to say, I keep waiting for this thing to actually crash because, it's so many people on it at one time, and it kind of makes me a little bit nervous. So I'm like, hopefully, it doesn't get hung up. And actually, sometimes it does. There's been a wait list, which I'll talk about in my next slide. We talk about some of the basics of ChatGPT. So the GPT part, it stands for Generative Pre-trained Transformer. So again, we talked about what is it? It's machine language. It's really human interactive. It's not code. It's as Dr. Chima talked about before. I hope I said her name right. Chimmy, I think I just mispronounced it. That it's a large data set of information, and it's really it just mimics human conversation. It's the same thing with Siri and with Alexa. It is you talk to it gives you a response back. It was, I think Tamia talked about who was founded by Sam Altman in 2015. That really wasn't that long ago. So this is new, and it's grown so fast. It's amazing. So there are currently right now 2 versions, version 3.5 and version 4.0. And 3.5, that's mostly just putting in text, and you put in some text, you get information out. It's very, very powerful. That's what is considered right now the free version. There is a version 4.0 that only costs, and I don't want to say only like it's because money it means different things to different people, but considering other tools that are out there, it's $20 a month. And there's tools that are out there that really do the same thing, and they're trying to charge you a lot more. But for $20 a month, it's the multimodal version, which is you can actually upload data. I have actually uploaded my resume, talking about lazy again. Sometimes I need a little bit of a push. So I uploaded my resume and someone said, I need a paragraph of what you do. And I'm like, I have a 3-page resume. I didn't have time to really put everything together. So I uploaded my resume and it just spit out a paragraph. Now, again, I had to tell exactly what I wanted, but this is some of the technology where in the 4.0 version, you can upload information and it will give you basically a paragraph back. You can upload spreadsheets, you scan to it. It can read graphs. So there's so many things that the tool can do that you guys hopefully have already experienced. It sounds like you use it quite often. So I want to talk a little bit about the capabilities and some of the things that hopefully you guys can see this. I just realized it's kind of small. But as we already talked about before, it can write essays, it can compose poetry, it can provide tutoring, it can code for you. You can engage them in general conversation and so much more, like travel itineraries. So what I did yesterday is, and I'm gonna see if I can actually pull this up, but I'm trying to plan a trip. My husband and I go on a trip every year for our anniversary. And we didn't really know where we wanted to go. We had some certain criteria. We didn't want to go far. We have a timeshare, so we wanted to stay where we can stay in that timeshare. We wanted to be only certain hours away. We wanted the flight. We want direct flight. So we had all this criteria that we wanted. And so I put that in and I said, I want a 5-day itinerary. And it actually did that for me. I'm going to see if I actually can is it possible to, let's see, switch, to my other screen. Let's see, give me 1 second, my apologies, because I'm not as quick as I want to be. Okay, so here I actually said, my husband and I are in our 50s. Yes, we're that old. I want to take a vacation. I just kind of put in some little information. I said we'll go to some historical sites. I wanted to eat seafood. And I wanted to fly from Newark International Airport. So I was very, very specific about what I wanted. And that's something about the information you get out of ChatGPT. And I know that was mentioned earlier in the chat, in the conversation, but it really depends on what you put in is what you get out. So let's see if it will let me scroll down. It won't let me scroll down here, but what it ended up giving me, let's see if I can try this one more time. And I don't know if it's a StreamYard thing or if it's my computer. But what I want to be able to show, maybe I'll just actually put what I was looking for in real time and see if that works. And you guys can see it. See it actually work. And so what it's going to give me is it's going to actually give me an itinerary of what I want to do. And I'm not going to, sit here and watch this whole thing go. But I just wanted to kind of give an example of how specific you can be. And it would spit out information based upon, I want seafood. I want it to be somewhere in the ocean. I wanted to fly to Newark within 4 hours. And I needed to have something that's historical. We like to walk. We want to see some historical sites. And this is what it gave me. So it's very, very, very interactive that way. So going back to my slides. And I hope I don't make you guys dizzy going back and forth a lot, because I'm going to do some samples. So how can ChatGPT help you? And you guys have already started talking about this. So I just want to basically just reiterate what you've already said. So as an educational tool, it's a personal tutor. It actually can explain complex topics. I know I did not like calculus in school, and I think somebody asked me, what I learned from it. I have to say I don't remember what I learned from it because I know it was complex, but I could have probably put something, if I had this back when I was in school years ago, it probably would have helped me better understand it. It generates project ideas. So if you're stuck on something, let's say that you have an assignment and you have an idea of what you're good at, what you like to do, but you just need some project ideas. It can spit that out. Career paths. That's the other thing where I think this is very helpful, is that when you are exploring different career paths and you know what you like, you know what you want to do. I think this generation, what I love about it is that you guys, I feel like, know exactly what you like and what you don't like, but sometimes it's hard to figure out, what can I do with that? What are my options? And so actually putting in exactly, what your strengths are, what you don't want to do, what you do want to do, and it will definitely, spit that out. I know that I have, as an example, I put in, I said I'm a high school junior looking for a career path where I can merge my love of helping people and using technology. I enjoy working in groups rather than alone. The job has to start off with at least making 50,000, but and there's an opportunity for advancement. What are my options? And so I'm going to put that in there and see what it spits out. Sorry for going back to screen again, so I apologize. So let me go back and share my screen. Oh, this is cool. Thank you. So I'm using 4.0. I'm going to use 3.5 just because it's really, you're going to see it's really the same thing. So if you can see what I'm showing, it gives you different kinds of options. For example, it said, a social media manager, a technical support specialist, a data analyst, data scientist, user experience, healthcare IT specialist. So that's just because I know when I was in high school, I really loved helping people. I love technology. Back when 50,000, that was a lot back then, but I was kind of thinking about now, and I wanted to advance. And so there's so much more that you can put in there. I just had put together something really quick just to use an example. UX experience, user experience designer. So this could also help you with your career path. So I think that's, kind of pretty cool. The other thing is, going back to my slides again, is that you can use it to improve your language learning. So you can practice conversation. You can correct grammar, expand vocabulary. I'm not going to go through this example because I think, in the interest of time. But one of the things that I did earlier, just as practice, see what it did, is say, conversational Spanish. I asked it, I want to go to a restaurant and I want to be able to say I want seafood at a restaurant in Spanish. And I had a whole conversation in Spanish, and I would tell ChatGPT, what is that? What are you saying? Say that in English, and it'll tell me. And I was like, okay, how do I put this in Spanish? So you can actually learn different languages, which is what I love about this, that, it gathers so much information that helps you learn, it helps you advance and enhance what you currently, the options are limitless, basically. And lastly, what I wanted to say as far as how it can benefit you is that it actually can help with creative assistance. So if you are, let's say, a creative writer, and you, again, are a little bit stuck on writing a book, writing a song. I wrote a Valentine's Day song yesterday from ChatGPT. I just was playing around with it. I play around with this thing a lot, I have to say. If you have, if we had time, I was going to have us write a song, but in the interest of time, I would encourage you, try it yourself. Come up with, what mood are you in? Take a poem you might have and add something to it, and maybe add a chorus to it. And it's just it does basically what you say. You're talking to a machine, but it's almost like talking to a human. The other thing that it does is that it can create images. And one of the things that I had told it to do is I asked for it to create a picture of a Black woman who's sitting on a beach wearing a blue, royal blue sarong, and she's watching the sunset. And so I asked for it to do that, and I'm switching back to my other screen. Hopefully you guys can see this. Let's see if I can pull it up so it won't take so long. This is actually asked for a husband and wife. And this is the one, of course, this took the other way, but this is the one where I just put, create a picture of a Black woman who's sitting on the beach wearing a blue sarong. She's watching the sunset. And this is what it created. So it's amazing all the things that ChatGPT can do for you. Let's see. So as far as going back to my slides, I want to talk a little bit, a couple more. I want to talk about accessibility, and then I want to talk about some of the things to watch out for, which we've already discussed. One thing that I like about this tool is that it breaks down barriers. One of the things that, when I was growing up, and honestly, not that long ago, it was hard to have somebody from Nigeria and have someone in the US and be able to communicate. And then it was also difficult for you to communicate with the same information. What this does is it breaks down the barrier so that everybody around the world can talk about the same thing, have the same education. It doesn't see differences. So it has a global reach, and it's affordable, it's free. So there's no barriers for anyone. And that's what I love about this tool. The other thing you can do, you can build a business with this. I know lots of people that are doing it. I have a friend of mine that just had this whole discussion about how he's going to create an app for lawyers. And he's going to have all this this information that is going to be easily accessible for attorneys. And all they have to do is they're going to type he's going to have some prompts. They're going to use those prompts and they're going to get them information. I don't know much about it, but he's going to make some money off it. And the people are doing it all the time. Email marketing is a big thing. And I'm pretty sure you guys probably have used this with social media. I heard someone talk about their friend uses for text. I'm pretty sure that friend also uses it for social media. And you can't think of what you want to put out there. You want to get a bunch of social media out at once, ChatGPT. You can sell that to somebody. So there's also a way that you can make money off this. I help my clients with it all the time. They don't have time to come up with their own. I'm not a social media expert, but if we need to get something out really quickly, I use that. So there's so many different things you can do besides helping for homework and helping you think of different things. You can also use to make money. So the other thing I just want to talk about quickly is just caution. We talked about this already. We talked about how with ChatGPT that isn't always, sorry, this is so small, isn't always accurate. No, there is some misinformation. So what I always say is use it, and a couple of you already said it before, use it as like a tool. Don't use it as gospel. So you may have a great idea, but you just need a little bit of more information, or you just might need a little bit more insight. Kind of like talking to a friend saying, hey, can you read this paper and give me your thoughts, give me your ideas? And so that's what ChatGPT should be used for, because it can give you some, it's almost human. We make mistakes as humans as well. So don't use it as gospel. Check your references, go and take the time to look up in different places. Also, people can tell when you're using something from ChatGPT, especially if they know you. That's not the way you really talk, Mel. That's not the way you really write. So, don't copy and paste it and claim it as your own. Really just use it as a tool to help you. Also, there's privacy concerns. Don't put in anybody's personal information, because actually, even though you don't think it might go somewhere, you don't put some social security number, the information, your address. Just as far as privacy, don't share any personal information, because it is out there, still out in the world, out in the internet. Don't rely on it. I just talked about earlier, and you guys had talked about that as well. And then respect cultural differences as well. So be careful what you put in here, and be careful, because how you word things, you want to make sure that that what you take out is culturally sensitive. So even though ChatGPT doesn't have that cultural sensitivity, like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have used that word, or I need to really think about some terminology. So just also be aware that it's not going to know what's right and what's wrong. All right. And then basically in summary, I'm not going to go through it because it's really interesting that we talked about this earlier. Like, what are the three things that you found about GPT? I was going to ask the same thing, so I'm not going to repeat that. GPT stands for the GPT start part stands for generative pre-trained transformer. Um, I'm curious of what the two things that you guys. I really hope that you think about the things you should be cautious about and what you the two things that at least that you should think about, and uh, and then how will you use it in the future? And if you have any questions, here I am. This is my email, my telephone number. I'm pretty sure Dr. Nana will have this information for you if you need it. Any questions?
That was amazing. Thank you, Miss Smith. Thank you so much. I had a few tokens and a lot of notes that I wrote down that I wanted to take away from the beginning, starting with 180 million people using ChatGPT. That really shocked me and surprised me. And I'm thinking it's like, wow, we're all using this one source now. That's a big number. So that means a lot. And it started in 2015, which is actually new to me. And I didn't know that. In 2015, I was in fifth grade. So it's been generating, it's been progressing, it's been elevating. And look at how it is now. It's just like outstanding and almost unbelievable to believe how far it's gotten. It's not done, it's still growing. It's still so much that you can do. And the fact that you can write songs, you can use it for social media. I think that's a great aspect and a positive aspect that we should look forward to in ChatGPT instead of always turning our minds to, okay, I'm gonna use it for cheating, I'm gonna use it for getting a way out of something. We can use ChatGPT to make money. And I think that's very important. You can use it as a lifestyle. Some people make ChatGPT as a business. As my major serves a supply chain, it goes hand in hand with information systems. And there's a classmate of mine who actually uses ChatGPT with his business, and he makes money from it. So I just believe there's a lot of important things. Before I get into any more, Caitlin, what were your thoughts?
There's a lot of information that I didn't know. Like you said, like 2015. Like I just thought ChatGPT like came like a couple years ago. I didn't think like 2015. And I feel like you can use ChatGPT for a lot of positive things, but I think because it's portrayed as like cheating and that people use it for cheating, it gets a bad rep. But I feel like once you like use it for like a positive thing, I feel like it really can be helpful. It could really make a positive impact on your life.
Awesome. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes, thank you. And then also playing with ChatGPT, I think that's very important as well because it's just so much undiscovered, so much we don't know. ChatGPT might know a little more than us sometimes, so we just really have to pick its mind and play with it and see where the creativity leads us. Because me personally, I want to start a business and ChatGPT can be helping me, so I got to take advantage of that. I can, and I think it's important that we spread that out in the world a lot because the perception of ChatGPT is very negative. So we can get to the other perspective of it and the other point of view and get others to see that ChatGPT can be a tool and that we can get that from not even just an individual's point of view, but from professors, from deans, from principals, just getting them to understand that ChatGPT is a tool. So that way when they hear the word, it's not, oh, I'm scared, but okay, we can use this, we can progress. And I think that's very important when it comes into don't copy and paste because as you use ChatGPT more, as you said, it has a certain text, a certain style, a language that it has when it develops questions. When you ask a question, it'll give you a generic answer. It'll give you answers that doesn't sound like you because it doesn't have a personality yet. If I'm using ChatGPT and I don't have that memory setting and it doesn't know how I talk, how I explain, it's just gonna give me this whole professional, maybe just a whole bunch of words I won't throw in there. So it's important to make ChatGPT you, and like we said, not letting it become you. So that's very important. And the privacy concern, like I said, that brought me back to the memory because if you do have that memory stored and you have your social security number, you have your friend's number, people are still in control of ChatGPT. Even though it's a computer, we have to operate it. We have to get things working. There's behind the scenes that we don't know. So if we have that memory on and all of our information is there, you don't know what's happening behind the scenes.
Exactly. Exactly. And I do want to say one thing that I use a lot when I'm trying to explain something to people, because, like you said, sometimes they'll give you words that is in a very, language that may be complex. I often say, "Hey, ChatGPT, tell me this like I'm 5 years old." And so it also helps when you're trying to explain something, or talk to, um, act like I'm Michelle Obama. She's my favorite. Say how Oprah would say it. You can use actual people that it can actually look and mimic to get the words to say exactly how you want to say it. I think that's pretty cool.
Yes, that is very cool. In the comments, we have access to mimic other people. That's very important. And then we also have our definition of what GPT stands for: Generative Portraying Transformer, which I actually didn't know. I just always went by Chat GPT. Nobody says, "Oh, I'm going to use Generative Portraying Transformer."
That was the geek in me. I was like, what the heck does this mean? Yes.
I can only imagine going in class and be like, "Oh, how do you come up with that answer?" And I'll just be like, "Generative Portraying Transformer." Everyone would be like, "Tamia, what are you talking about?" So,
Exactly.
Caitlin, how about your college experience in using ChatGPT? Have you used it? How have you used it in any ways of such? Don't forget to
Okay.
unmute.
Yes, I have used ChatGPT. I mainly use it for biology because that's like a subject that I struggle with. So like me that helped me better understand the subject. If like especially last semester I had a professor who I did not like his teaching at all. So I would use ChatGPT to help me learn the information and everything. Now, like when I take biology too, I don't really use it anymore like that because of the professor, because like she's a good professor. But it definitely has played a role in my college experience of like literally everybody here uses ChatGPT. Everybody at my school uses ChatGPT, and it's like it's crazy how people use it and how people like rely on it. Like seeing people like actually like use it all the time. Like I don't know, like it's just crazy to me, like how like technology has like developed from like years ago to now. Like it just amazes me.
We have a comment that says save money on tutoring. I did see in your presentation that I talked about being a personal tutor. Would you mind elaborating a little bit on that?
So if you are having a problem with, let's say, a math class, or having an issue with, creative writing, you can actually ask it questions, give it a problem, and it will walk you through the steps on how to get that answer. So you can use for any class. Um, it posted giving you the answer and tell you this is the answer. You have to train it or tell it to, hey, walk me through the steps of how I would solve this problem. It's really how you talk to it, opposed to saying, let's say, give me the answer to something to the second power, whatever. You want it to say, walk me through the steps of how I would get to this answer. And then it will actually take you step by step by step, and not and instead of just saying, here's the answer.
Thank you. We have a comment that says very informative information given. I learned about this today from Melody. Yes, we've all learned a lot. Definitely go home with a lot of information.
Thank you. Yeah, I was able to help out.
Wow, wow, wow. I've been behind the scenes, between writing and exciting and all of that. Oh my goodness, to me, I want to obviously let you give your closing remarks, being this amazing facilitator this evening, before I jump in. But go ahead and I'll let you close us out. Indeed. Thank you. But go ahead, in closing, what would you like to share to your audience tonight?
I would like to say thank you, audience. Thank you for all our panelists and our speakers. I think it's very important that we change the persona, change the perspective of how and what ChatGPT can do in our lives, and not the negative, but the positive, and that we find ways to educate more people on ChatGPT because it's not a lot of information that's being spread out, especially as a college student. It's just evident about cheating and how we shouldn't use it and how it's just like a quick way of being lazy and doing that such. But I think it's important that we have panels like this, conversations that we talk about the unsaid, because when you don't talk about things, we don't know. So it's better to know these type of things and get everyone informed. So I appreciate all the different perspectives, point of views, and that we are slowly starting to change and help others because we can take our information, everything we learned from educators, and it doesn't matter the age. So as long as we have this small information, it can go a long way. And I would like to thank everyone for tuning in, for being active in the chat, and yeah, more ChatGPT information that we've learned, and I'm so thankful. Thank you.
Indeed, indeed, indeed. Thank you so much, Tamia. Great job facilitating for us tonight with her busy schedule to have her here tonight. I'll pass it down to Caitlin if you want to go ahead and give your parting remarks.
Yes, I think this whole conversation was very informative, especially as a college student. And I definitely appreciate this whole conversation, learning things new, learning new things about ChatGPT, just learning different perspectives because everybody has a different perspective. Everybody doesn't think the same. So I definitely appreciate all this and thank you for having me on the panel.
Indeed, indeed. Caitlin was one of those melodies. She was like, mm-mm. She wasn't fun on ChatGPT. When at the beginning,
You have an open mind, though. That's what I love about all
Yeah.
of you ladies. You have such open. Y'all amaze me all the time. I was telling Dr. Anna, I would love to do this. You guys amaze me. I learned so much from you all. Oh,
yeah,
I'm just
it was
amazing.
good session. Thank you, Caitlin. And Kanaje, I have to make sure when you see it, I know how to say it when I don't see it, but when I see it, it messes me all up. So she is actually still in high school, and that is secondary school for those around the world. And and I remember when I asked her, she was like, I don't use no chat GPT. So she's here tonight. Tell us, what are you thinking? What you gonna do now? You gonna be using chat GPT or what?
I thank you guys for like having me up on here. I'm glad that I experienced and heard everybody's insight on the different ways that they use it, and everybody's different opinions. And I think from here on, like now that I have good intentions to use it, I probably will use it because it'll be beneficial to me, like and use it as a beneficial way to like help me with my things as an active student in high school and like things I may have trouble with. So thank you guys.
Very, very good. This is her first time. She's one of our newest mentees out of Connecticut. And so we thank you for being with us tonight. I know it took a little courage to be on this live platform tonight for the first time. So we appreciate you and we're looking forward to great things from you and the Blessed Girls in Connecticut. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Now, Nanset is all the way here from Nigeria. And you talk about someone who perseveres between, she's up. What time is it? Hold on. Let me look. It might be like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning for Nanset. Now, you talking about committed dedication. I was like, you sure? She was like, no, ma'am, I'm going to be there. So we are so excited and grateful for her with all the challenges with technology and such. I'm looking at my calendar, my clock. What time is it now, Seth? Talk to me. It's almost 2 o'clock. It's 1:56. It's almost 2 o'clock in the morning, and she is here. So thank you so much, Nancy. You might have to unmute yourself, but we celebrate you. We thank you for being a part of this conversation and learning more about ChatGPT, and being an ambassador for us. Anything you want to say in closing? I have to unmute yourself. Unmute your mic. There you go.
Sorry for that. Yes, and it has been really informative, and the fact that ChatGPT is very user friendly. Over 180 million people. That's mind blowing, actually. 180 million people use it on a daily basis, and I also learned that it started in 2015. I've never heard that before. I'm just so excited. That's just it. And thank you so much for making me part of this. Thank you so much, Dr. Nana.
Indeed, indeed. So great to see you, to hear your voice, and to have you a part of this chat tonight. And again, we are expecting great things from Blessed Girls in Nigeria. So you go get some sleep, okay? Probably have class tomorrow. But thank you for being a trooper and hanging with us tonight. All right, Melody, we thank you, of course, for being our expert tonight and sharing so much. Anything you want to say in closing?
Jess, I encourage you to use it. If you have any questions, I'm using it every day because things change. Technology changes every day. So continue to use it, continue to embrace it, and you'll love it as much as I do.
Indeed. You definitely told us some stuff tonight, and I can see how you love it and how you use it. It just makes sense, right? And so for us not to be afraid of it, and so I'm grateful again for your yes. I was like, hey, you think you could do it? I know you are productivity, efficiency. Look, I know.
anything technology, I want it.
So anybody who could use it and help us with it, I knew you would be the one. And certainly it was awesome to have you tonight. So thank you again for being with us and hanging in with us tonight. We so appreciate you. So you guys, you see her information, make sure you connect with her in any way that she can help you all as well. All right. Well, we thank you all for being with us tonight, hanging in there. We went on for about an hour and a half. So thank you for tuning in. And so if you came in on the later part of the workshop, you got some training, you got some overview about ChatGPT. If you met us on the front end, you were there for the dialogue and you got to hear from some of our girls on their experience and the questions and the concerns. And thank you so much to Dr. Chami for joining with us from Trinidad and sharing. She gave us such a wealth of information as well from the academia side of things and the rubrics that they use. What are teachers using? What are professors using? How to check, but also how to be inspired and to use it, to be that scholar, right? And to be that woman, as she said, women who want to make a difference. And so we are grateful. My name is Dr. Nana, the founder of Blessed Girls and the 4Cs Youth Civility Programs. And so tonight is just what we do. We are really about making sure that gender equality, that girls and guys around the world have access to education, access to business, right? Just access is so important to us and doing it in an equitable way. And so tonight, I'm so inspired because here's the thing. If you didn't see, most of us is brown and black girls coming together and talking about AI, talking about technology, when unfortunately, usually we are the last ones at the table. And so we are always about changing that narrative and making sure that girls, underserved, underprivileged, underrepresented, are represented. And they have access to the education, to the tools, to the motivation, to the network of amazing women around the world. And tonight was just an example of that. So thank you for joining. Thank you for everyone who supported. If you're watching in a replay, please let us know where you're watching from. Give us your name. You can always connect with us. I'll make sure I show more about it. You can go to our website at blessedgirls.com. You can become a mentor. You can learn about our programs. If you need a mentee, if you're looking to sponsor some girls, if you're looking to be a blessing to Blessed Girls and the work that we do, you go ahead to blessedgirls.com. You can go to Facebook, Blessed Girls Nonprofit. We're on Instagram, we're on LinkedIn. Just connect tonight. Watching us tomorrow, wherever you're watching from around the world, make sure you connect to us tonight. Drop a nugget, something that you learned tonight that you did not know before. That's important. We don't want tonight to be just a one-time thing. And here's the thing, you can come back. We're staying with this. We'll be unlocking AI's potential even more, where students are going to learn smart strategies from our next AI certified consultant, Miss Janine Biggins. So come back here next Thursday. We'll be live. We have some of our students as well, our Blessed Girls from around the world, that will be a part of the dialogue. You want to be there. Okay, so next Thursday, same time, same station. Make sure you join and connect with us. And lastly, if you know youth civility is certainly what we are about, that is the engine that keeps us going on a global landscape. And so we stand for youth civility. We have a survey for all of our educators. Dr. Chami, make sure you take that survey. All of the teachers, the professors, anyone that works and serve, the paraprofessionals, those that work and serve in the area of education and with our young people, we want to hear from you. We want to hear from you in the space of civility and making sure that we can create a more civil, respectful environment for our children. So go to our website, take the survey, and students, hold on, you're up next, okay? We want to hear from our young people in the space of civility and in their classrooms. So I'm just excited. I'm grateful again. Join us next Thursday. We will be back and we will continue this conversation of making sure that technology, AI, and all that good stuff that bless girls and guys around the world, right, have access. As Melody said, this is free. This is available globally. I read an article, I think it was in Kenya. It was a young man in Kenya working for an organization in Germany, simply using ChatGPT, using Wi-Fi, using the internet, and creating an incredible income, right? Because of the access. So we are certainly leveling the playing field, but we will not be left out. We will be a part of what is happening in this time in this season. So again, my name is Dr. Nana. Remember to be bold, to be you, and do what? Be blessed, girl. Have a good night.